What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 79. Here with my guy, Fredson. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am physically tired after this last week of football. But man, oh man, do we have a lot to talk about. Liverpool, Atleti, Diogo Costa. There's just so much that we got to get to that I almost want to skip over asking you how you are, because we got to get right to it.
A lot of beatings, man. A lot of beatings. Facts, man. And Juve won, though. But they're out of the Champions League too, people. But just before we get to it, do not forget to like this video, people, and subscribe to FC Wonderkid on YouTube. But yes, Liverpool. What happened there, man? The first home defeat of Virgil van Dijk in the Premier League in 70 matches since January 2018, man. What's happening at Liverpool, man? The inconsistency is real. They beat Man City 1-0. They lose 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. Then they beat Ajax 3-0. And now they lose to Leeds United, or Leeds USA with Jesse Marsh, 2-1. Inconsistency, man. What's happening?
I don't know. I mean, you already said it, but a week ago they lost to Nottingham Forest when they were basement. And then they lose to 19th place Leeds United. And in between, or somewhere in there, they beat Manchester City and beat West Ham, and they beat Rangers, and they beat, like, what is going on? Yeah, what is going on at Anfield? And I think it starts with Klopp. I think it starts with all of these players, too, that make up the core of this team. They just look beaten down, right? You know, you add to that, like, Van Dijk in that match was at fault, partially at fault for the first goal.
Joe Gomez, man.
And
Joe Gomez.
Strongly at fault for the second goal. And Joe Gomez, yes, did not bathe himself in glory either. So I honestly don't know what is going on, but it does feel, and I'm going to say it, it does feel like the beginning of the end for the Jurgen Klopp era at Liverpool.
The transfers. He needs to get the transfers right in January. Definitely get midfielders. It's not Darwin's fault that Liverpool is losing. And it's absolutely nuts that Liverpool's closer to the relegation right now than to the top four. And it's not because of Darwin. I'm going to repeat. It's because they didn't reinforce the midfield 100%. And it's actually mad that Liverpool have one of the best goalkeepers in the world in all this. But you have Trent underperforming, Virgil van Dijk underperforming, and if no Thiago Alcantara, Fabinho definitely underperforms. So once again, and I have to say this too, Salah got a big extension, and we do see the signs of that extension in the Champions League, okay? Fastest player ever to score a hat-trick, this, that, and the other thing. But in the Prem, I only hear Kane, I only hear Haaland, De Bruyne, no Salah anymore. So he needs to get those numbers up to justify the extension, because Sadio Mane left. And Sadio Mane is playing at Bayern Munich in the Champions League with the biggest. So, Salah, what's up?
But what's up? Obviously, you know, and Jurgen Klopp has come out and said that a lot of this is injury related. We started the season in the hole because of the injuries. And Luis Diaz, you have Diogo Jota. There's just a lot of things that are happening. But then again, if you're a world-class team, you likely have the depth to be able to deal with that. And when your depth is Harvey Elliott, who is a great prospect, who has shown that he can step up, but step up consistently the way Pedri does with, Barcelona. He has not shown that yet. He has not shown that just yet. So Harvey Elliott and Carvalho, these guys, Curtis Jones, these guys
Carvalho
are like
shows brilliance though.
He does, but like he can't carry the team himself. He's not a Musiala. Sorry. And he's not a Pedri, and he's not a Bellingham.
Gonna get there.
He likely will, but yeah, Liverpool is going through kind of a an existential crisis. But I have to tell you, if we're gonna heap a little bit of kind of uncertainty on Liverpool, we gotta give credit where credit is due. And Leeds United did not stop harrying Liverpool into mistakes. They did not stop going direct for the jugular And it's funny because I believe I saw something on Twitter that said, their last loss at Anfield was in March of 2020 or March of 2021 in the Premier League. And this recent loss was in March 2022.
Oh,
okay,
my
terrible. That's just terrible.
No, it's not bad. But I'm going to give credit where credit's due to Illan Meslier, man. 9 saves, against Liverpool. And we saw Rafinha going for big bucks. Illan Meslier will leave Leeds for big bucks too, okay? And Calvin Phillips too. So once again, the Leeds development showing results, okay? And Tyler Adams, Brendan Aronson, if they keep on playing like they did at Anfield, I could see them leaving for a good amount too. A proper U.S.
I agree, but I got to dig a little bit deeper there for our Leeds USA fans here because Meslier stood on his head. Okay, he made the most saves in any Premier League game so far this season. Nine saves against Liverpool. And he gave us a firm reminder because he hasn't been that great this season. He gives us a firm reminder that behind Donnarumma, behind Diogo Costa, I might be missing 1 or 2 others. He's definitely still in the top 5 young goalkeepers on the planet at this moment in time. You mentioned Adams, you mentioned Aronson. I mean, they ran Liverpool ragged. They never stopped running. But you ready for this? None of Leeds, their excitement, to dig out of the relegation zone, maybe turn karma in the right direction for them, would have been possible if it weren't for 18-year-old Willy Gnonto, who becomes the smallest player to step on the field on the Premier League, on a Premier League stage, okay? He is smaller than I am, and when you see me in person, you'll understand what that means in the coming month. But he is the one that made the action in the corner, sent the ball across to 20-year-old Crescencio Somerville, and an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old put it past Allison and gave them 3 points at Anfield. Unreal to think about, but that's Leeds United right now. And you got to remember, because you said it, right? You said it well. Rafinha, massive piece for Leeds United, okay? They also sold Calvin Phillips, massive piece for United. And just like Liverpool on the other side, they did not address their defense, which needed help last year and definitely still needs help this year. Their defense is horrendous. But they did bring in players that will fight for the badge and claw for the points that they're going to need to stay out of the relegation zone. But for Liverpool to lose at Anfield,
things are not
historic.
Well. The rebuild, people are going to put question marks in club, but I still going to remain what I said. FSG is going to be put more in account right now, at least, than Jurgen Klopp because of this Champions League form that helps him. But for Leeds too, just want to mention they were having huge is Jesse Marsch gonna go? This, that, and the other thing, and he remained. Okay, so that's great news. That they're not gonna see another manager. They're not gonna try to replace him.
No, and nor should they, because if you look at all the underlying metrics, they're playing decently well with what they're given. Their defense is still horrendous, okay? But when it comes down to it, if you had any qualms or any worry about whether or not Jesse Marsch still has the locker room, all you got to do is look at those pictures and the videos coming from post-match at Anfield when they secured those 3 points. He had every big player on Leeds United coming up and giving him just this long embrace. You could tell that it was just emotional times for Jesse Marsch. And is it the worst thing in the world if another American manager gets sacked after a short period of time in the Premier League? No.
But who would they replace with? Wolves is having trouble to replace with a manager. I honestly feel like this win just justifies him staying the rest of this season. Tyler Adams, Brendan Aronson loves him. How? But it's let's wait and see type B. But put in the comment section, do you believe Leeds United are going to stay in the Prem? And do you believe Jesse Marsch is the correct manager? Tell us down below. But talking about managers and doubts, we had a big match with Chelsea Brighton. And no doubt in my mind, it affects psychologically. Cucurella and Graham Potter playing against Brighton, okay? 4-1 defeat. The first loss of Graham Potter at Chelsea, man. That's a bold result, and they clearly need a midfielder. Big shout out to Moises Caicedo, man. Balling it. Balling
well,
it.
you basically already said who Graham Potter should get. But listen, you know me. Like, I've been talking about Graham Potter and Brighton previous to this and their transfer policy for like the last several seasons, right? Definitely since we started FC Wonderkid.
True.
Graham Potter did not do himself any justice in this particular match. I don't know if it was naivete. I don't know if it was just feeling, you and I talked about this before, feeling Graham Potter felt guilty or something coming back to the Amex and going to play his team, leaving them hanging high and dry, whatever. But ultimately, he coached like that. He managed like that. And it showed because he looked completely devoid of ideas. And frankly, that performance from Chelsea was just like recklessly embarrassing. Okay, if I was a Chelsea fan, it almost, even after how good he's been to start his reign at Chelsea, I would almost have second guesses. But you'd like to think, I mean, he got outcoached. Every player on that field got outclassed, got outplayed. De Serbi was up for it. Every player on Brighton had an energy level that was like 50% higher than every player on Chelsea. And it's crazy. Like Thiago Silva, mistakes left and right. Cucurella, mistakes left and right. Chalobah's streak ends right there. So there were so many things that, like, I just hope that this is an outlier for Graham Potter. I hope that this is just one of those games you snap and forget and move on.
I think that will be the case because it's such an unusual match. Because you feel the guilt, and it's the way he left too. I feel like Todd Boehly always had in mind to get Graham Potter when Tuchel was there. So I feel like Brighton managers felt the same way, and they said, why didn't he just leave in the summer? It would have made much more sense if they were already considered it. For the club, it would have helped. So that's why it was personal. And a big shout out to Leandro Trossard, which is one of the most underrated players in the world of football right now, scoring this season against Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man United. 7 goals and 1 assist, man. Insane, and must start for Belgium. Completely justifies that form. And I just want to say biggest criticism for Chelsea, in my opinion, is the lack of leaders that Chelsea have right now. Azpilicueta is aging, okay? And if Azpilicueta had left, it would be much more problematic than what it's now. But you need leaders like John Terry, Lampards. So I'm going to say Mason Mount. Show up more as a voice on the pitch, man. It's not when Declan Rice is going to come that's going to happen, but I think it will help. And that's why I really think Declan's going to Chelsea, because the position's needed too. That is very needed.
I'm going to double down on your comment because I 100% agree with you. They do. They need a leader. They need a hard-nosed leader, not one that has to go, break ankles like Vinnie Jones or something. But they need somebody that is not a church mouse when it comes to leadership, and that is Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a church mouse, right?
He's church mouse.
He buzzes around. He just buzzes around. He gets his, he's quiet because he's in church. He buzzes around and he gets his goals. He gets his assists here and there. But I don't see any verbal leadership coming from Mason Mount, or from really anybody in that midfield.
And Havertz, starting above Aubameyang and Broja, you'd expect him to be more involved. Yeah. With the
I agree. I agree. But am I the only one that thinks that Broja is not as promising and not as good as most people think he is? I
don't agree.
It's starting to crack. The dam is starting to crack for me, man. Every time I watch him, it just feels like wasted motion, wasted physical. I don't know, man.
I'm still not there because, if Broja goes to the Serie A, I think he could have the same impact as Tammy Abraham in another team, not Roma. I still believe in Armand Broja, and I love the fact he picked to play for Albania. Love that. And I really think
Sure.
he shows the potential that he could score more than 15 Premier League goals. I think that can happen. Will it?
No.
There's still doubts,
No,
though.
it won't.
There's
It will not.
Hey, there's still doubts.
João will not
But
score 15
Aubameyang,
Premier
though.
League goals.
But Aubameyang could, and he was not playing. So, and Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell can start for England, okay, in this World Cup, and he's on the bench. So for Chelsea. So there's still a lot of question marks.
To get my bias out of the way, Christian Pulisic did not play well either. Is he playing in his preferred position? No, he's not. But ultimately, he gets a chance to start against Brighton, and there's nothing coming from there. Mark Cucurella, though, was the most surprising to me. He looked lost. He looked again like he was playing his teammates, and he was like afraid to do something wrong or something. So it was a very weird game. We'll see for Chelsea fans, because obviously this isn't a one and done. They didn't lose to Nottingham and lose to Leeds United at home like Liverpool, and are effectively out of a Premier League title kind of conversation. But Chelsea has some soul searching to do from here on out. At least they got their Champions League future dealt with at the moment, so they can focus on that. But I had to ask, because I didn't do my due diligence on this, but Kepa was subbed out for Mendy. Was that for physical purposes, or was that for?
I don't know. I think it's Graham Potter effect in terms of like tacticians wise. That would be a move that I could see a manager like Potter doing. Which it's a pattern with Chelsea managers to change the goalkeeper, and it's good. And it's good that Kepa's at least, showing that he's fine with that change. So it's tell us down below. Do you think Chelsea and Liverpool will end in the top 4? Because that is the biggest doubt right now. Two big teams, 2 losses, and I don't know what's gonna happen, because right now we got teams like Newcastle. Okay, that Newcastle is doing the rebuild the right way, and that's why they have the best defense in the Premier League right now. £55 million well spent with Nick Pope, Sven Botman, and Kieran Trippier. Elite players to get, and you just can see again the rebuild being done the right way. I just have to say that.
Then you have every right to say that. And again, I'm going to double down on your point, because it's not just the efficiency shown in the transfer market. We know Newcastle and their backers have the ability to go out there and spend with the best of them, and they have decided to do it incrementally, maybe per FFP, maybe per the fact that they want to introduce and ingratiate these players one at a time. But listen to this. That's not even the most surprising to me. Okay, yes, it is actually. Newcastle having the best defense so far in the Premier League, 10 goals conceded. That is pretty surprising to me, and is a testament to where you should have shored up and where your transfer attention should be spent when you're doing a rebuild like this. But what is equally as impressive to me, it's almost as if they dipped into the transfer market to get 3 new players in Callum Wilson, Miguel Almiron, and Joelinton. Okay, these 3 players are not new players, but man, do they look refreshed. Man, do they look new. Miguel Almiron has, 7 goals now? He has 7 Premier League goals this season. He's up there with Leandro Trossard.
Nice.
Right?
So
and he's doing it.
So effective. Where's Grealish?
And who do you...
Where's Grealish?
I know.
Like, what?
And I feel like you got to recap for people. If you don't know the Grealish, why there's the Grealish-Almiron thing, Grealish decided to name drop Miggy Almiron in, I guess, worst Premier League player type of conversation a while back, and Miggy Almiron has been proving him wrong ever since. And I believe Almiron has 7 times the amount of goals that Jack Grealish has this season, to go with more assists when it comes down to it. But
it's true.
4-zip beatdown of Aston Villa, man. It was...
Like, you'd expect Villa to do better, especially with a manager change that we can mention it further. But I have to say, reiterate, completely agree with Almiron. Almiron, Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes, Sven Botman, Nick Pope, Dan Burn, Trippier. These players have passion and understand the meaning of this successful project of Newcastle. The fans want it, the football world wants it, and the Prem, The Prem, I think, needs a successful Newcastle. Since the Alan Shearer days, people want to see this happening. And again, they're not overspending. They're not overspending. But we can say, okay, Alexander Isak, big move. But still, we understand why they did that big move. There's a lot of strikers in today's day and age. And Alexander Isak is a baller and the future of Sweden right there too. Newcastle right now, 16 goals scored, 3 conceded. And one of the biggest reason why, I'm going to say it, it's Eddie Howe. Very, very underrated Eddie Howe as a manager. And in my opinion, definitely top 2 English manager in the world right now, in my opinion, okay? Yeah. In my opinion. And it allows Newcastle not to overspend too, having such a quality manager that is a perfectionist. I have, at least from the outside looking in, I think Eddie Howe, being at Bournemouth too, that rebuild, elite, like you have to be attention to detail. And I think Eddie Howe has that. So that's why Newcastle's going bold.
Well,
that's why.
And once again, I'm going to piggyback on your comment here because Eddie Howe has built a culture in a very small period of time, right? That wasn't necessarily there. Now, the seeds of it were there in the locker room of that Newcastle that struggled before the money came in, before Eddie Howe came in, right? So these are players that wanted to believe, right? And that's why he's gotten so much out of Joe Linton. It's why it's why he's gotten so much out of pretty much any other fringe player we haven't talked about. Joe Willock has actually been better than most people give him credit for this season. Because their index for Joe Willock was, hey, has he scored 7 in 7 Premier League games in a row? And if he doesn't do that, he's not having a good season. No, he's actually having a pretty decent season for Newcastle when it comes down to it. But I have to home in on one because we've talked about Joel Linton, we've talked about Almiron, we've talked about the new guys. Nick Pope has as many clean sheets and a better goals against average than Ederson at Manchester City this season, okay? But when it comes down to it, I am most impressed with one player and one player alone on Newcastle United, and that is Callum Wilson, okay?
Redemption.
He is one of the more effective strikers in the Premier League and has been for some time now. And if it weren't for his injury history, he would be a mainstay in the English national team squad. In fact, if he's healthy, I would almost take him over a Tammy Abraham. Or I would almost take him over any other striker
Ivan Toney.
Ivan
Toney. Callum Wilson.
I honestly would. You know why? Because he's equally a poacher as he is a target striker. He's equally, like, he can play multiple roles. And this guy has been doing it in the Premier League for some time now. He had 8 goals in 16 Premier League starts last season, a season that was shortened by injuries. He's got 6 goals already in 9 starts this season. He's really picked it up this last month. And he had 12 goals in 23 Premier League starts in 2020-2021. If you had a full season, we would know that would be 38 Premier League starts. He would be scoring a whole lot more than just that amount of goals. But his issue is in injury history. But when he's on point, playing for not the best teams, right? Newcastle, before we've had this little resurgence and this build, Callum Wilson to me is just an impressive player and would provide Gareth Southgate with a lot of kind of fire off the bench in Qatar.
Interesting player. I wouldn't start him above Tammy Abraham personally. And Tony, I think there's a good discussion.
What Tammy Abraham are you looking at this season? Surely not the one I'm looking at this season.
I feel you, but it's just the fact that he can be effective though. And Harry Kane is the starter. I just believe, like, for me, Tammy, just being a young gun too, I feel like just being there, I'd still put him above. But yes, put down below. Would you call Callum Wilson Tony or Tammy Abraham? We want to know your choices, okay? And I just want to end with Newcastle saying, in my opinion, Newcastle's home ground is St. James Park is definitely one of the most difficult stadiums to play in the world of football right now, man. I would love to see St. James Park in a Champions League night. I'd love it. Anfield goes bold. I think Newcastle, when they go to the Champions League, it's going to be insane and bold too. And in the transfer market, if they get Champions League football, who are they going to get? Who are they going to get? The salary increase is insane. But just want to mention too on the Prem side, the Tottenham, amazing revoltada. Okay, Conte went bold, but again, they're heavy reliance on Son and Kane, Tottenham. They need to hit the market and get better pieces, okay? And McKennie, I understand, doing that dirty work, okay? The box-to-box rule. No one's doing it effectively at Tottenham. So Harry Kane has to drop back so many times. So, but I just want to say, remontada, top 4 consistency, Tottenham, they keep on going. When Liverpool and Chelsea loses.
It was almost a no good, very bad week for Antonio Conte. And that massive comeback, 3 goals in the final 40 minutes. That would have been an otherwise pretty shocking loss to Bournemouth. Yeah, and that midweek.
Millimeter decision.
Tottenham, you literally could have said after those 2 fixtures, if they went the way we all thought that they were going to go, you could have said Antonio Conte is on the hot seat. And now you're looking at Antonio Conte is still at the top of his Champions League group. And on top of that, they got 3 points where we all thought that they were likely going to lose, right? Bournemouth didn't necessarily look like they were getting so outlandishly outplayed that Spurs was just going to come back with 3. But that's the type of whatchamacallit, of a verve, right? That's the type of an identity that Conte's got to bring to Spurs until he gets all the players he wants in. So yeah,
it's
big,
Sanchez,
big.
It's like Davinson Sanchez in that game. What happened there? And again, all the Tottenham fans say, get Bastoni, get Barella. You need these players, man. You need these players. So I'm just gonna reiterate, but exactly, Barella, top 10 midfielder in the world of football, 100%. And if anyone signed him for 60. Even 70 million, I feel like that's a bargain, okay? Casemiro went to United, elite levels, okay? But Barella's young. So I could see that happening. But want to mention too on the Prem side, last thing on my end is Unai Emery. Aston Villa, in my opinion, did a good appointment with Unai Emery because you don't see many managers available. And for 6 million, it's worth the risk. Defensively, he knows what he's got to do. Excellent win percentage at PSG. I know that's not difficult, but Unai Emery loves to be an underdog. At Sevilla, he went bold. At Villarreal, he went bold. And at Aston Villa, he can go bold. Underdogs right there, and they can invest a proper buck. Something that Villarreal can't do at the same level, in my opinion. So
fair enough. I mean, I'm going to have to take the other side of that coin. I don't see Unai. Good. I know. Wait, and by the way, anyone that thinks when you say good evening these days, anyone that thinks that is a knock on how he speaks, the man speaks multiple languages, right? It's not. It's actually, for me, it's a term of endearment, because it's just this he says it before every press conference, and it just becomes this wonderful thing that you want to. It might have started as somebody mocking him, but I don't think that that's what it's meant as now. I am happy to see Unai Emery back in the Premier League. Do I think that managerially that is the best next step for him after Villarreal? No, I don't. I think he chased the paycheck in this case. But do you have the ability in terms of financial backing? Do you have the youth academy that could set you up for a sleeping giant type of situation with Aston Villa? Yeah, absolutely do. Do I think Unai Emery is the man for the job? If he wasn't the man for the job at Arsenal, then he's probably not the man for the job at Villa.
But it's different roles. Like at Villa, he's closer to Sevilla and Villarreal than he is to Arsenal, in my opinion, though. And what do they need? Top 10. Top 10. I legit think Unai Emery can get a top 10. If they get the right investments and the right moves in January. But people,
hold on, before you say people, right? Because that is the big deal. Are we certain that he has the people around him to actually build for that European push or that top 10 push? at Villa. And I'm not, I'll be honest, I'm a little ignorant to who is in the front office around Unai Emery at the moment, who will be making those transfer decisions. But after what they've gone through over the last, say, 12, 18 months in terms of how they spent the Grealish money, I absolutely think that beyond just Steven Gerrard, there should have been more people out the door at Villa. It wasn't just Gerrard, right? So until they fix that around Unai Emery, I don't think Emery's a transfer mastermind.
I agree.
Juan Foyt was great. Juan Foyt was great at Villarreal, right? He's had a couple great wins at Villarreal, but ultimately he was dealing with a shoestring budget at Villarreal. So it'll be interesting to see how these get done. I don't know.
I think it's something great can happen. Okay. And being that Villarreal, just like Villarreal, Aston Villa fans are very proud fans. So I believe there's a pattern there. And we can see Unai Emery succeeding in the top 10. Top 10! That's for me what's succeeding at Aston Villa in the Premier League. That can happen. But people, tell us down below. Do you believe Unai Emery was a good appointment? And yes, the managers available too. There's not a lot. Tell us in the comments section managers that are in the market, and not Tuchel. I don't want to see Tuchel spam, okay? Other managers that teams can get, because a lot of teams are not playing their best football, and I'm going to transition now, okay, to a team that no Champions League football, 2 consecutive years, okay? And the pattern is the same with no Lionel Messi, no party, okay? 2 times going to the Europa League, and Xavi's starting to get doubts. And I've got a question. Will Xavi ever win a Champions League with Barca Breton?
First you have to establish how long of a leash Xavi has. Like, what would it take for Xavi to actually
one more season
have to leave Barcelona? Okay. So effectively you're asking if Barcelona's going to win the Champions League in the next season or two.
No. They need to definitely get out of the knockouts next season. Because 3 seasons without Champions League going into knockout stages. And the problem here is that this season, they've signed bigger players. And the salary cap is even bigger than last season going to the Europa League. So I think 3rd time's the charm. And Xavi ball is put in check. But in the league, 10 clean sheets, okay? And 12 La Liga games. The first time ever in Barca history to do that. But Xavi ball in La Liga, amazing. Champions League. Oh,
I gotta say, I think really what it comes down to is their boogeyman was put in their Champions League group. If it was any other team, maybe Barcelona would be already collecting their knockout round Champions League paycheck, and they'd be incredibly happy with Xavi, because you're exactly right. I mean, to be 3 points behind, assuming Real Madrid wins over the weekend, to be 3 points behind, having conceded 4 goals in La Liga, having scored a whole buttload of goals, having seen character-driven wins like their win against Valencia with a Lewandowski, late winner. These are all signs of progress under Barcelona compared to where they were under Ronald Koeman. Absolutely, right? But when it comes to Champions League football, I honestly believe that they're just not there yet in terms of the character that's needed. And that could come down to Pedri. It could come down to Gavi. It could come down to this youthful core.
It comes down
to depth. Depth. Exactly. I mean, Alejandro Balde is probably the new right back, right?
No, left back. He must start. Well, at left back.
He played right back against Valencia. He played right back.
But for me,
and he was good.
For me, Balde 100% must start for Jordi Alba. Must start at that left back slot, and definitely, I think they have that locked. And because they have a left back locked, they should overspend with the right back. Go crazy, man. Get a Dalot. Get a Boru. Get someone that no one is expecting in that right back spot, because you can. You can go bold, okay? That's the slot. Then they lost because of Bellerin. I'm going to say it. He was the main reason they lost, man. Ter Stegen's going bold. You see players having crazy good seasons. And then you see one butchering. Then Mele, man. What's this inconsistency? If Dembele was consistent right now, people would be talking about him in the Ballon d'Or talk. Ballon d'Or talk, because he would definitely start for France too if he was consistent. So many crosses without intention, and you got Lewandowski in the middle? What? 18 goals, 17 games. If Lewandowski wasn't there, how would Barca be right now, man? How? Yeah. That's why Xavi needed him badly, and now it's understandable. But Xavi said this. Xavi said this. La Liga is at the same level as of the Premier League. That is total cap, Xavi. And I gotta say, in the Champions League, you see the Premier League and not La Liga. You see Real Madrid. Real Madrid's always there, not La Liga. Exactly. Yep. Europa League, okay, Betis, Sevilla, Barca, Atlético, but the Champions League, Real Madrid, different levels. I just wanted to say, I was offended, man. I didn't understand that. I really didn't. Like,
because Xavi's not the perfect person that most people painted him out to be. He's also not the white knight coming into, necessarily save the day here, but he does have some phenomenal tactical ideas, and he does have, the ability to turn this team into potentially a behemoth. But ultimately, that La Liga is better than the Premier League. That is complete and utter delusion. And it speaks of a player who literally spent his whole club career, or the majority of his club career, at one club. Now, granted, he won a lot of Champions League titles with Barcelona.
But that club without
and they won
Messi,
a lot of La Liga titles.
Without Messi right now, you don't see it.
Exactly.
You just don't see it. Like, you don't understand. Real Madrid is the only, they got that Ballon d'Or win. They keep on winning Champions League. But Barca, you really don't feel it. So I just hope, man. I just hope they get the next transfers right, too. Oh. Yeah. It's hard.
I'm with you. But I've got two big things for you in this sense, because I think Xavi also shares a little bit of the blame, not just Bellerin, not just, whoever you want to blame it on, well, not just injuries, which I know Xavi has started to be a little more vocal about.
It's true, though.
But obviously there's an asterisk on this game, right? Because the earlier game was Inter versus Victoria Pilsen. And it was bizarre to me that Xavi had them come in early to watch the game as a team, because really, when it comes down to it, you can't control a damn thing that happens in that game. You can't. There's no amount of voodoo dolls. There's no amount of karma. There's no amount of whatever wishful thinking that can go that way. Inter was always going to break down that team, especially with Barella on point. Okay, so with that said, what is this fixture about? This fixture was about Barcelona exercising the Bayern demon. Bayern Munich has beaten Barcelona 6 times. 6 times. 6 straight matches. Okay? It is all about destroying that boogeyman. And what did Xavi do? He went in timid. He went in timid against Nagelsmann, against a Bayern team that is getting hotter, but a Bayern team that is not the Bayern team of old. Not only that, Thomas Muller is sending Snapchats or whatever to Lewandowski, essentially, goading him, essentially, basically, telling him, hey, we're coming, we're going to beat you, And they went to their house, and they were the better team. And Barcelona should have taken that challenge, not of, we didn't make we didn't win the group, we didn't get out of the group stage. Who gives a crap? The time at hand was to exercise that demon. If not for this season, for next season. And that I just did not understand, because Xavi, in my, just watching that game over a couple times, he was timid as all get out. He would have not been that timid in La Liga. Right? So I think Xavi needs to build that culture a little more. And I think they've got all the right seeds. Everything. And True.
And you're mentioning Bayern, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Jamal Musiala, okay? Jamal Musiala, 19, 200K, might as well be the best 200K spent in the world of football right now. To buy from Chelsea, okay? Bayern Munich. Right now, he's got 10 goals and 7 assists. And what a season he's having, Jamal Musiala. But Barca's approach in that game wasn't the best. And start Balde. I want to reiterate that. And Ter Stegen, once again, one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now. Definitely Ter Stegen, man, and he deserves a lot more credit. And the signings too. Lewandowski, they didn't get wrong. Conde, they didn't get wrong. But Bellerin, man, he's just butchering everything. And Rafinha too. He needs to become more consistent. We need to see the Rafinha that we see for the Brazil national team. A true menace, okay? So, there's a lot of changes. Fati. Yeah. Fati wants to get more spotlight. So, I feel like there's a lot of question marks with the winger slots. Not of the quality, but who's the choices? Who are the choices?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's just funny to me that Xavi thought it would be better to bring in Hector Bellerin instead of actually work with a Serginho Dest that has and was willing and wanted to learn. And no, does he have the CV that Hector Bellerin has? No. But Serginho Dest has all the ability to turn into a very functional, whether it's a backup right back or a spot start right back or starting right back. I don't understand why that was not a project that Xavi wanted to take on.
I think Xavi just respected Dest and said, like, I think you're going to be better somewhere else. And honestly, I would love if another manager like Simeone had that approach with a certain player like João Félix. Imagine if João Félix went on loan this January to Benfica. Legitimately, Benfica are Champions League contenders if that happens, man. That would be so bold, man. And Félix scored 2 goals in 40 minutes, okay, in the last game. And they lose 3-2, man. It must be frustrating. And what man of the match. You can't ask João Félix to do more, and he wants to. He wants to, and he needs to do more to be considered one of the best players in the world. And that first touch deserves to be in the discussion with hard work that I know he's putting in. So, Simeone, what's wrong? What's happening?
It is baffling, absolutely baffling to me. And then obviously there's all the media thing afterwards where like João Félix is out technically partying, but it was like his girlfriend's birthday or something. It's just so many weird. Yes. I know, so many just weird things going around that. But what it all comes down to is you have this $100 million man, and he's shown to be incredibly functional and incredibly, a connectivity to him that when he's playing at his best and when he's given the chance, he becomes a game changer for Atletico Madrid. And you don't put him on the pitch, and you also don't let him go. It's just Simeone. We said this last year, right? We were at this precipice with Simeone last year. I mean, is it the end of the end with him? I mean, are we at the pinnacle of seeing what Simeone can do without necessarily changing things dramatically at Atleti? Is it time for Atletico to hitch their cart to another horse?
I think they'll let go of João Félix, and if it still goes wrong without João Félix, I think there's real question marks put on Diego Simeone. I just don't get it. The locker room must be going crazy. Like, what? And Witsel was a good signing, though. I just want to say that. I like Witsel at Atleti. But it's, again, other players, and the fullbacks, too, not bad, too. So it's, De Paul. De Paul, not too good. The ball not too good. And Griezmann, 20 million. Like, why isn't he doing the penalties, Griezmann? Like, you know what I mean? Because so much responsibility put on him.
Well, first they were playing contract games with Griezmann early on in the season, with the whole only plays 30 minutes. True. But really, like, for me, that was just a horrendous week for any Atleti fans. I mean, you get knocked out of the group stage, no Champions League football, and then you come back, and João Félix puts you in the position to at least walk away with a point, save your graces, and you give up a 99th minute goal to literally one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in La Liga. But by all means, tell me how Simeone is. I don't know.
I just want to say this, man. With Atleti, though, there's a pattern here, though. The Giants are going down. And they're going down from Champions League to Europa League, as it seems. Because Ajax is now in the Europa League. Juventus is in the Europa League. Man United, Atletico, Barcelona, Arsenal, And don't sleep on Sevilla. Sevilla's always there, and they might as well win the Europa League with all these guys that are right there. But see, I mentioned Juventus. Juventus right now. They did win against Lecce, but no Champions League. No Champions League. Benfica unbeaten this season, okay? 21 games unbeaten. Managed to show up and say to Juventus, we are a bigger team and we play better football. Roger Schmidt effect, man. Like Enzo Fernandez, they might as well. They need players like Enzo, okay? Not Paul Pogba at Juventus. Players that give guarantees. And even McKennie, man. He's not better than Enzo. He's not better than Enzo. I was shocked. And that Fredrik Arsens, great midfielder. Great player. Great player.
I think you could almost call Roger Schmidt and Benfica the Napoli
the new Ajax
Liga right now, you know, or the new Ajax.
No,
52 goals in 21 games. You compare that to Napoli's attacking output this season, and both of these teams, you know, handshake emoji, they're doing pretty well for each other. Man. But the only saving grace for Juve is the fact that they have finally let loose some of their youngsters, right? We've already known about Moretti, but we've seen the impact. Samuel Eiling has already come on. He's registered an assist in 2 straight games. He saved their blushes against Lecce. And on top of that, Nicolo Fagioli. So Juventus, they're probably better off, especially if they're literally not going to actually get rid of Allegri. Because of this golden parachute or this golden handcuff type of situation they got going on, then by all means, let those youngsters kind of ball out this season and try and fight for Europe on their own. That. And when all is said and done, you're only talking about 4 or 5 youngsters in there to fight with the better pieces of this Juve team, which is Vlahovic, which is it stops there, I guess.
Exactly, definitely. For me, Vlahovic is the only player. Okay, and Pogba, if he's peak, and Di Maria too, if they're playing at their level, they are the players that can go bold. But Pogba's been injured nonstop, and again, they need another midfielder. Juventus is not Locatelli, it's not Weston McKennie, and it's not Pogba injured, okay, or Di Maria injured. They need another midfielder next to Miretti. They need to bet on Miretti. That is the right choice. And when I'm saying this, they let go of Denis Zakaria, they let go of Kulusevski. Like Agnelli's decision making is horrible. It's horrible. He's turning the Juventus team from the Champions League team that it was with Cristiano Ronaldo, winning 5 trophies in 3 seasons, to now an Europa League team that they seem to be like that. In the league, they're showing that. Like Barca, at least in the league's going bold, but Juve, nothing. So trust the youth and keep going with that, because Miretti is special. He has world-class potential in him. He really does. So
it's an outright money pit. I mean, literally every signing that they've made, Di Maria, Pogba more specifically, Chiesa, you buy him, and I don't know when he's going to be back on the pitch. I hope that he comes back being the.
I believe in him though.
The player, I do too. But you know what? We'll wait till he gets back on the pitch, and then you counter all this, right? You counter all this to the De Laurentiis business. Right? And the Spalletti managerial masterclass that's going on at Napoli. You know, and I'm going to say it right now, before we get any farther. We did a little bit of a clip the other day about our 10 top transfers of the season. And I had Erling Haaland at the top. No more. No more. Number 1 is Kvaratskhelia. It is. For pound, euro for euro, dollar for dollar, whatever you want to call it.
Still Haaland.
It's not still Haaland. It is not still Haaland. Okay, number 1 in their group stage, number 1 in Serie A right now. He continues to literally show up all over the place in every game. He had a goal and 2 assists or a Sassuolo. He's got 8 goals, 10 assists already this season. I mean, they didn't spend 60. They're not spending 350,000 a week or whatever it is, right? This is like pound for pound one of the best signings, not just of the season, but literally of the last decade. Okay,
and
it's still early.
Serie A,
18 goal
definitely.
involvements from this kid already.
Insane,
So
man.
he's
That's
Kvaratskhelia in Serie A. You ready for this?
Mm.
He's second in goals. He's third in assists. He's first in goal involvements. He's first in big chances created. He's first in penalties won. Good for him. Second in dribbles won per game.
Better than Rafael?
He is, at the moment, yes. But, I mean, Rafael has a Scudetto under his name. So, you know, I'm not writing Rafael off, you know.
I get you.
We'll see post-World Cup. Because that's probably when Rafael comes out. And really gets the stuff done. And when all is said and done, Napoli's in the lead, but they're not in the lead by, like, you know, 10 points.
But it's how dominant they are, though, too. Like, top of the Champions League, top of Serie A, Osimhen getting a hat-trick, Kvaratskhelia being world-class, and they have a world-class center-back and Kim Min-jae, okay? World-class to replace Koulibaly, man. I am shocked with how good he really is, man. And the midfield just plays really good together. Lobotka and Simeone. Simeone must be considered one of the best super subs in the world of football. I said Rodrigo of Real, Simeone of Napoli, showing results in the Champions League too, as that guy, okay? So, like, Osimhen or Simeone, great to see. I'm shocked with the levels.
But it doesn't even stop there, right? It's like, you know, Osimhen plays that target striker, plays that, you know, really, really well. And you've got Simeone, who's more that cleanup, get goals here and there. And then you got not only that, you got Raspadori too, and he's scoring goals whenever he's put in. True. So they can actually, they're malleable in terms of which striker, which, you know, which one is up there. So I don't know if the good times will last all season for Napoli, but it's certainly looking like they have some chemistry. They have some freakish just understanding with each other. That, like, if you're going to ask me right now, I've got Haaland, De Bruyne. I've got Dembele, Lewandowski. Those are some really, really interesting connection. I mean, obviously, and you know, Haaland, De Bruyne. But Osimhen, Kvaratskhelia, like, that is and Vinicius Benzema, although we haven't really seen that 100% in motion yet this season, and we will see it, I'm sure, as the season goes on. But Victor Osimhen has had a hat trick, as you said. He's got 6 goals in his last 4 games. He's got 7 goals in 7 Serie A starts. And then it pains me to think that this guy is not going to be at the World Cup. He is not, along with Nigeria, not going to be at the World Cup. But like,
I like where you're going. The best duos right now: Lewandowski, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen, De Bruyne, Haaland, Vinicius Benzema, and I'd say big shout out to Gakpo, Xavi Simons, though. I think those are the best duos right now playing football, or must be considered in the discussion, man. Because right now, Gakpo has like more than 25 goal involvements. Xavi Simons has more than 10 goals. Like, it's insane, okay, the impact that they're having. And they balled out against Arsenal. They really did. Xavi Simons, man, big respect on him. And once again, he showed up. And he showed that he has to go to the World Cup for the Netherlands, man. What does Xavi Simons need to do more, man? At 19, he's doing everything that he can. At PSV, Van Nistelrooy, the first manager to beat Arsenal, next to Erik ten Hag too. That's Van Nistelrooy.
He was pissing those Arsenal defenders off, Xavi Simons. I agree. I think Xavi Simons should be on the plane to Qatar. Just like I also think, and I'm going to say it, we forgot to say it in the La Liga section. I'm going to say it, Alejandro Balde. If you think he's replacing Jordi Alba, he should also replace Jordi Alba on the plane to Qatar.
Fuck. I think Luis Enrique could do that, though. I wouldn't be surprised. That's the fast lane at Barca. Real Madrid players, they don't have it's not that easy. But Barca players, hello, welcome.
I mean, you marginally give up maybe on some things that Alejandro Balde has, you know, in his locker at this moment. But he has taken incremental steps up every time he's stepped out on that pitch. He's also now shown that he can play right back and left back, and he can play wing. So you actually have more versatility there than you probably do with Jordi Alba. But I didn't mean to go backwards in all this. I just I don't know. Where were we? What were we even talking
I
about?
went with the duos to the Cody Gakpo, but we can go to the trios too, because I have to mention here in the pod, man, it's actually insane that Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe have 70 goal contributions already this season, man. And again, PSG must be considered top contenders for the Champions League next to Man City. Will they win it? If they don't win it, man, again, PSG bottled it. So I just want to mention that. But Messi's doing everything he can. And in the World Cup here, man, what an elite form to go to the World Cup with. 12 goals and 13 assists. Oh my days. Then you have Enzo cooking in the Primera Liga. Martinez cooking with Man United. So you see improvements in the Argentinian team too. Oh my days.
Yeah. I'm with you. And you know, like, I know you and what's his name? And Carvalho. I know you and Pedro did something on the Ballon d'Or about Erling Haaland and this and that. I mean, I honestly do believe that it's going to be one of this PSG trio that winds up winning the next Ballon d'Or, because one of them's likely lifting the trophy, whether it's France, Argentina, Barcelona, or it's going to be somebody completely out of left field, right? Somebody completely different. But yeah, I mean,
we got people at PSG with Gnat, Vitinha, Daniel. We do have players. Nunes, obviously, Nunes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it right now. I do not share your agreement with Carvalho that Cristiano Ronaldo could wind up winning another Ballon d'Or or could be top three on a Ballon d'Or.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that.
I think he's. I don't know what's going to happen here, but yes, if he goes bold with Portugal,
that's the only way. That's the only way he can get top 5. But I don't think that's. I just put that option. I just put that option. But we could wait.
Either way, PSG that you might have. They're 1, 2, 3, right? The royal trio at PSG. Neymar has 18 goal involvements. Messi has 17. Mbappe has 13. The royal trio of PSG and Ballon d'Or contenders. It's all well and good, and yet they have a 3-point lead at the top. I mean, it's like, what the heck? They also lead the league in biggest, like, most missed chances, I think. All 3 of them are top 3 in it. So it's like League One means nothing when it's all said and done. They're only playing, that is basically their preseason, and they're only playing Champions League ball from here on out. Okay? And that's all that matters. World Cup, Champions League ball, and whether or not they're in sync when the time comes. And if you can't beat or get by Bayern when the time comes, or you can't beat and get by Manchester City when the time comes, then it's all for naught, or Real Madrid. Yeah. So,
but I think too, something that's going to be very interesting after the World Cup is the Messi saga, because Barca wants Messi back. Man City's highly interested in Messi with Pep Guardiola. Chelsea with Todd Boehly are definitely going to consider that. And then you have PSG saying, do you want to, like, divide the club with Mbappe? So it's like everybody's going to go hella bold for that signing of Messi. At 35, still one of the most valuable players in the world of football. Wanted to give that shout out. But I want to mention... sorry.
No. And you already said it before, but his form is approaching scalding hot heading into this World Cup. So it is going to be impressive to see what happens with Messi. And there were a couple quotes that came out, and I don't have them verbatim in our notes here, but it basically was boiled down to we are going to fight like hell to get Messi his World Cup. We are going to fight like hell. Yeah, that's who it was. So I am here for it. The narrative is building, and I just hope Messi transplants this form into the World Cup. And my guess is he will.
I think he will. That group is they're gonna go crazy. But people, put down below, do you share that thought that a PSG player is gonna win the Ballon d'Or? Put down below in the YouTube comment section. But I want to mention here in the pod, man, my last shout out is Copa Libertadores, because Flamengo! Hey, you went bold, man. Flamengo went bold. And I gotta give a huge shout out to Gabigol. 3 goals scored in Copa Libertadores final, and he's lifted it twice. Carioca de coração, and Gabigol is 100% a Flamengo legend. 100%. So Want to give it that shout out. And Everton Ribeiro, very underrated, this player. Really good quality, and wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Brazil national team. And Flamengo right now is the Brazilian team with the most titles ever, with 8 Copa Brasileirão. They have 4 Copa do Brasil. They have 3 Copa Libertadores, and they've never, ever been relegated from Brasileirão. So that shows in such a difficult league, man. The most difficult league to win consistently, in my opinion.
You got it.
Brasileirão. Yes. I got it.
Well, I love that shout out. I'm gonna throw one of my own stats in there. Flamengo is also the first team to win every leg of the knockout round, home, away. They're the first team to do that in Copa Libertadores history, apparently. Okay, so not only were they good, but they got it done home and away. And it really helps when, if Gabigol for some reason is having an off day, you've got a guy like Pedro who is, he scored 12 goals in the Copa Libertadores in 700 minutes played. 12 goals in 700 minutes played. Okay, so it's their Flamengo's second Copa Libertadores title in the last 4 years, and Gabigol has been there for both of them. But there was also a wonderful smattering of names we've all heard of. If you're a big Euro football guy, you know Andreas Pereira, who will get a medal. He was on the team before he made the move back to Fulham. You got David Luiz, was starting in center back. You've got Felipe Luis, the fullback that used to play, I believe, for Atlético. And also Chelsea back in the day?
Yes,
maybe?
He did.
And then Arturo Vidal came in off the bench. So you have some wonderful names there that were playing for Flamengo, and they have this nice balance of younger dudes and some vets that have been there before. But to be honest,
what a player too.
Hey, 28 still.
Uruguay, man. He's got to be there.
Got to go to Europe. Got to go to Europe at some point.
I don't know though, because he just fits so well. It's like Gabigol. Like Gabigol and Arrascaeta, I legit believe they can become club icons of Flamengo. They just could stay there and just live their life in Rio de Janeiro, which I don't think it's not bad though.
No. I mean, there's actually quite a few Uruguayan players like that. Who's the other guy I'm thinking of that should have made the move? Is it De La Torre? No, I forget. He plays for River. He plays for River. And I can't remember his name. De La Cruz, I think is his name. De La Cruz. Anyway, getting off topic here. The funny thing is when I tuned into the Copa Libertadores, I was really hoping for one narrative to come true. Okay? And it wasn't on the Flamengo side. It was on the Atlético Paranaense side. I wanted to see 17-year-old Vitor Roque ball out. I really, really, really wanted to see it. It didn't happen, but the fact that this 17-year-old was starting for them in such a big final, he's already got big eyes on him. Barcelona also wants him. They're looking at a $30 to $40 million price tag for him, or 30-40 million euros, I should say. But this is a guy, if you don't know him, look him up. Vitor Roque has been phenomenal for them, not just here, but also in the Brasileirão. So that is who I really wanted to see kind of ball out. But Flamengo took over as the more consummate team, the more solid team.
Love it.
And
love how you're mentioning Vitor Roque, man. Great shout that is. And I'm sure you want to shout another player in Brasileirão. 17, Vitor Roque, very good. But we have a player that he might go for 60 million, and he's 16. Am I right? Real Madrid are definitely considering to pay right now for Endrick. As would I complain about it? I wouldn't, because his work ethic is insane. I legitimately believe we're talking here about one of the players that is going to dominate the world of football in the next 5 years with Endrick, okay? He can score goals. He can out-dribble everyone. He can do anything on that pitch, man. And he is the successor, or at least until now, he's the biggest or the best player to succeed from Neymar, okay? Vinicius Jr. and Endrick might be the best duo in the next 10 years, man, in the world of football if everything goes right, man. He's already got those 2 goals, man. Insane. And you can see it.
I know.
How he talks, man. Like, I know Portuguese, and the way he speaks, how confident, like the focus that Endrick has, people. Really, I really believe in this kid. I really believe in him. World-class levels. I believe in it.
And at 16, we always want to take everything with a grain of salt. But the fact of the matter is, he is the youngest player to ever feature for Palmeiras. He is the youngest player to ever register an assist for Palmeiras. And Endrick is also the youngest player to ever score for Palmeiras. So really what it comes down to here is if you're looking at who best to thread the needle of where a Brazilian goes, a young, promising Brazilian goes, right around the same price tag in the future, the next best step, really the only litmus test he's got, or the only real two players he's seen so far really step it up abroad and take massive leadership roles in a massive club in Europe. Well, Endrick at Real Madrid is almost a foregone conclusion, right? Because Vinicius Jr. before him, Rodrigo now. I would imagine that they're going to do everything they can to secure Endrick.
And
but then
he can compete with Mbappe potential. Like, if he goes right, he can be better than Mbappe. And Mbappe is lethal in the three corridors. Endrick can be that guy too. He can get a finish anywhere. He can dribble. And I'll say this. I think he beats the defender better than Mbappe. Not with speed, but with dribbling. Already at 16. So that's actually insane. Insane. Like, so, but people, really, we're not stressing. We need to stress more on this kid, man. But I feel like Abel Ferreira will be playing him more now that he's going to win Brasileirão, as it seems to. So he's going to trust the youth. Trust the youth.
And when all is said and done, would you have expected this quote? Do you think that this quote was from Endrick? Real Madrid is a mythical club. Was that quote attributed to Endrick?
I think it was Jamal Musiala.
It was Jamal Musiala. I tried to trick you there, you know, just planting the seed that Endrick was going to Real Madrid.
And
that
he
was
says
Jamal
that.
Musiala.
Jamal Musiala says that because he knows Jude Bellingham sees it as a mythical club too.
Oh my goodness.
And they know Pedri and Gavi's right there too. So I can see that happening. I could see that happening in the near future though.
Transfer window is going to be on fire for multiple seasons to come. That is for sure.
And after the World Cup too, there's going to be like a need with players that are going to be like, Moises Caicedo's this good? Incapi's this good? This guy, like, every team's going to be doubting their transfer policy, man. They're going to reinforce. In January, I could see Enzo, man. Enzo going to Liverpool. Or Juve if they wanted to spend big bucks, but I don't know if Juve wants to.
Or Newcastle, because, you know, come on, Newcastle's going to be a top 4 team. And no, I'm just, you know.
No, I'm not kidding on that, man. They will be a top 4 team in the next 3 years.
I agree.
I can say that. I believe that.
Well,
I believe
I'm in agreement with you at this moment in time. We'll see if anything changes, but listen, we are going to be taking a massive kind of shift in content moving forward, and we are going to have to be looking at each and every one of these World Cup teams and who's going to be upping their profile or who might lose interest because this has never happened before. World Cup in the winter, World Cup dead in the middle of a season. It has never happened before. So you better believe that in the coming weeks, months, hell, I'm going to be in Portugal in the next 10 days or so.
It's going to be crazy.
It is going to be crazy. And we're going to be talking all things World Cup and probably transfer window too. But when all is said and done, man, December, November, I don't know if you can love football anymore.
It's the perfect month. And let's hope that no injuries come from it. I had the Lautaro scared if you see that Inter game. I was like, please don't get injured. Please don't get injured. So let's wait and see that everybody is fully fit. But if you're listening until now, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to FC Wonderkid on YouTube. And again, community, thank you for going bold on a weekly basis. And next week, episode 80, we're about to go bold once again. And thank you for joining the community, people.